Hey guys, backyard scrapping here. Today I'm going to go through a little project with you, and I'm actually going to build a little silver cell. And a silver cell is used to make your refined silver absolutely pure. What it is when I'm doing a silver drop, or you guys see me do a silver drop with the copper coil, most of the time that silver, when it's finished or when it's all done and drops off that coil, it's probably anywhere from 0.992, 991 up to about 997. You know, rarely, I think it's going to get to, from everything I've seen, it'll get to 998, but it's actually not 0.999 fine silver. And the only way you're going to get that result is to actually have a silver cell and actually regrow the silver, pure silver crystals. This is actually a broken down, less expensive version of a small silver cell that I watch Shree Tips make on his channel. And what I've actually done is cut corners wherever I could to save a little money. I mean, he actually used a 1,000 milliliter heavy glass beaker, where I am going to use this little, I don't know what you would call it, vase, whatever it is, but anyway, it was 92 cents at Walmart as opposed to paying 20 bucks for a beaker. He used a little, for his cell area, he used a little, I don't know, like a Tupperware thing. I mean, not that expensive, but I'm going to use this. This didn't cost me anything, so I've got nothing there. This cost me, I think, $3.99, which it's a carbon block, or graphite block. I got it out of China, free shipping. The wire was a piece of scrap. This is an inline fuse, which you need to do, which we'll get to that when we're getting that along that far. And the fuses I had to buy, and I actually bought 2 of these, and I already had one. So this one was laying around, but that's about $1.99. So we're looking at, say, $4, $6, $7.50, and one fuse is about $1, so $8.50. This is free. This was $1, and then this. So for under $20. Now this is a vac bag. I think he said they're Dacron, and this shows the type he uses. This is actually as much money as all this I've got laying here. This little lid that I'm going to use for my top was free, just off of a food container. But like I said, in any case, we're going to go ahead and build this thing. I'm going to cut out a lot that you really don't need to see. I'm just going to, tell you what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to do it. And then I'll come back as each section of this is done. But in any case, so that's what we're going to do today. This little booger was $9. But anyhow, so we'll get back to you when we get started. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little carbon block, we're going to drill a hole in it, and then we are going to put this copper wire inside. Guys, I got my bit on my Dremel. Now I don't have a drill press, so what I'm going to do is just lay my Dremel flat on the table right here, and I'm going to turn it on, and I've got it on this little scoop, and I'm actually just going to try and push it, slowly straight into that, so I can get a good straight hole as best as I can. All the tools I've had in my life, and I don't have a drill press. But anyway, so we're going to go ahead and see how this works out. Well, that actually worked out better than I thought it was going to work out. It worked really well. So now, what I want this to do is I want this to be snug in here. Okay, now that's in there. That's good and tight. Okay guys, so here is our finished cathode. So that will go in the bottom of our jar, and that's where our silver is going to grow from. So that booger's all done. I'm going to finish up everything else, and then I'll show you what it all looks like put together. Alright, we'll be back at you in a bit. Okay guys, now we're going on to the next part, which is making our basket, our anode basket. So what I'm going to actually do is just take the lid off of this and take this little knife, and I'm going to put it through right here so it's on that lip, and then I'll put it back on and cut it out, and then we're going to drill a bunch of little holes in this guy. Okay guys, so we're finishing up our anode basket. Just going to put a couple more holes in it, and that'll be it. Then we'll just clean these holes out, finish up our basket, and go on to the next part. Take this knife and clean these holes out a little bit. And that'll be that. Anyway, no point in making you guys sit through this. I'm going to just go ahead and finish this up, and then we'll get back with you. Okay guys, so there's our anode basket made out of just a prescription pill bottle, and our retainer ring with the top cut off. So when we're ready, we'll put our filter down in there, snap that on like that, and we'll be ready to go. So the next thing I'm going to do is just put this on here, trace this out, cut it out, and that's going to be our top. So once again, we'll be back at you in just a few. Okay guys, so I cut that out. I'm going ahead and putting our basket in. That's going to go just like that. And we'll put our filter in here, and that's going to have our electrolyte in it with our carbon block, and that's going to go just like that. So that's how it's going to be. Okay guys, so I just want to show you where we are right now. That was our 92-cent jar from Wally World. Anyway, this was our free lid and our free pill bottle that we got right here. So now I went ahead and put our expensive filter in, our piece of our $9 filter, which I think I'm going to be able to get at least 2 filters out of. But anyway, that's going to sit like that in there. We are going to put our, I still have to make it, but I'm going to make a round like this copper maybe, but twice as thick anode. And what I'll do is I'll pour, first I'm going to pour, let me get this and I'll show you. First I'm going to pour one of these, pour myself a rod, probably this little end one here. And then what we'll do is after we pour that rod in that mold, then I'll take this out to my round mold, and I'll get something to hold that rod straight up and down, and then I'll pour silver around that rod so that we can use that for our anode to push our silver down. In other words, that'll be made out of silver, not out of copper. So, okay guys, so here's our finished product. Here's our little mini silver cell. So all I have to do now is go ahead and make the anode which I told you earlier I'm going to make out of putting a, pouring a little silver rod, and then I'll stand that up in a round mold and pour some silver around it, and that will get placed in here on top of the silver that we are going to grow the crystal out of. So that is about it. Okay, here we have an old computer power supply. Okay, it has all the ratings here on the side, the voltage, the current, frequency, all that, which I really am not an electrician. I don't know a lot about it, but you need to have naturally a power cord that will fit it. So we are going to plug this in. This is only 12 volts of current coming out of this, so it's not going to hurt you. And we're going to turn our switch on. Well, you see, nothing happens. And the reason nothing happens is because this is not attached to anything. And it's the motherboard that tells this to turn on. So the very first thing that we have to do is we have to tell it that it's connected to something. So all your black wires, every black wire in this, on all these, are all a ground wire. Okay, so they're all grounds, all the black ones. Now what we're going to do is we're going to find a green wire right here and a black wire, which there's one right next to it, I believe. Yeah, so it would be these two right here, these two, and we are going to jump those together. We're just simply going to stick a wire in there and stick another wire in that one. So we're going to jump those together, and this is how we're going to tell if our power supply is any good or not. Now we are going to plug it back in. We have it jumped, and there you see it came on. Because what actually happened here is that little blue wire or jump wire I used is faking this thing out and telling it that it's connected to a motherboard. So we know that this is a good power supply. Alright, so our next thing is going to be sorting the wires. We know the black wires are all grounds. Alright, the yellow wires, every yellow wire here, so you separate those out. All these yellow wires coming out of here are putting out 12 volts DC. Okay, your red wires, all your red wires that are coming out of here, the reds are putting out 5 volts. And then you have orange wires, and that's in here too. So same thing. All the orange wires are 3 volts, all the red wires are 5 volts, and all the yellow wires are 12 volts. Now real quickly, so really all you have to do is cut the ends off and separate the wires out and bundle them together, and that's your voltage. I'm going to just show you what I made real quickly for my silver cell. And being that I only needed 3 volts, what I actually did was I actually opened the box. Okay, this is another one that has a switch. But I actually opened it up, cleaned it out, and I took all the other wires that I didn't need, cut them off, wrapped them, put caps on them, and kept them in the box so I didn't have a big mess. And then what I actually did, all I need naturally from there is a ground. So I kept 3 of those wires, braided them out into a ground, connected them for this, and I did the same thing. I only need 3 volts. This is actually to power my silver cell. And when you're powering a silver cell, you want to put an inline fuse in just in case. But anyway, there you see, so that's what I needed. Now you could do that, like I showed you, and you could take that one power supply and have it, have each wire out the 12, 5, and 3 volt so that you don't have to make separate ones. I just keep this in one place. I have the one under my desk that I use for the stripping, so I just did that one at 12 volts, and I like it to look neat. I don't like cut off wires everywhere. But a lot of people will just take this, cut the ends off. You know, they'll cut all the ends off of this, then they'll get all the wires at an equal length, separate them into color, into each color, and they'll just keep them, you know, use it all, because really, I mean, it makes sense too. If you're going to be moving it around, using it for different applications, well, then you might as well keep all that, you know, each current coming out. So one more little thing, guys, I almost forgot this part. I showed you where you take and jump, you know, that black and that green wire. This is the only part of the wiring that I'm going to actually show you. In order to keep this working, just jumping it isn't going to work. If you go through everything I just told you and you don't do this one little thing, it's still not going to work. In order for this to work, you have to take that green wire and that black wire, and you have to put them together. Now this is going to be before, you know, all your other wiring. These two have to go together, so you can put them together and cap them, or you can bend them over and put electrical tape, whatever. Just make sure you seal that. But that green and black wire has to be connected. If that's not connected, it's not going to turn on. So that was, you know I showed that I jumped it, but I didn't tell you that you have to permanently connect those two wires. You have to connect a green wire to, and it can be any black wire. It just so happens those two are side by side. Okay, guys, that wraps up the building part of our silver cell. We have our cell with our block. We epoxied that in. Remember not to cover the wire with epoxy. Just slip it in and then put epoxy around, and then cover that with silicone. That's to protect it from the silver nitrate. So there is actually our anode basket, our cathode for growing our silver crystals, and our container to grow them in. There's our power cord. I went through the power supply with you. I don't think I ever said anything about why you do this, but this actually will come into the next part when we're growing the silver crystals. The reason for the inline fuse is when you're growing these crystals in a small container like this, they'll probably grow pretty fast. If they get up to the anode basket and touch it, they will actually burn through and short everything out. So that's the reason for this. If you're not paying attention to this, or you happen to, you know, step away and they grow up and get up to here, you know, it'll short everything out. So you want to pop that fuse instead of shorting all your stuff out. But that's the reason for the inline fuse. Like I said, we went through the power supply. Here's our container that we're going to grow our crystals in. So the next thing we're going to go over in the next video about the silver cell will be our actual growing of the crystals. We'll hook everything up. We'll have our electrolyte, and I'll explain how that's made, and we'll just go from there. So we're going to go ahead and end this video here, and I'll get this set up, and we'll start growing some silver crystals in the next video. So we'll see you then.